Brooklands. Another protest is planned against the politicians in Christchurch, following on from the last one when 4,000 people turned up to voice their concern over Tony Marryatt's pay rise. This time it's over a much more significant issue.
If politicians don't listen, the public will keep on shouting. But this time the issues delve far deeper than the council CEO's pay rise. The property crisis is the newest addition to the firing line against city leaders and will be the focus of the next protest planned for the coming weeks.
We're just getting calls from all over that there's really an urgent need to have another protest.
Cantabrians Unite is behind the movement. They say 4,000 people weren't listened to at the last protest in February, so they'll be even louder and more clear this time round.
The politicians didn't get the message. And since that time, Brownlee, Smith and others have just been messing around, putting Kerry Marshall in there at the council to observe, but we need more than observation, we need action.
They're hoping to lead by example, but the focus has now shifted. It's about the city's housing situation, which he says has worsened from political incompetence. Pavlitich, a retired property developer and commentator, says everything but the real issues are being dealt with. The action comes as the Productivity Commission's report on housing affordability was handed into the government yesterday. It aims to reduce pressure on housing prices and suggest more effective government support for people struggling in the housing market. ACT Party leader John Banks says the report has revealed the disturbing emergence of a tenant generation. The ratio of house price to income has doubled since the 1980s, while home ownership rates have fallen as low as 60%.
20 years ago, we all knew that we didn't have to spend any more than 3 times our income to house ourselves. But today, here in Christchurch, is now sitting up at 6.3 times.
Both Banks and Pavlich claim policies have increased costs and created delays in the home building process.
Most definitely. It's really a question of, if you like, land supply, the bureaucratic problem that we've got, getting consents, and also the financing of infrastructure.
The two men say council restraints on the supply of land for houses have had a big impact, pushing land prices up, with it the average price of a home.
There has been an exhaustive discussion nationally on these issues, and the government was supposed to get onto them, in fact, back in 2008 when it was elected, and it promised to get onto the housing issue. In the past 3 years or so, they have done absolutely nothing.
Causing the whole situation to develop into a crisis, as we're seeing here. The situation, Mr Pavlich says, is totally unnecessary. But Jerry Brownlee and Sarah are still claiming the market will sort itself out.
That is just absolute rubbish, which Minister Brownlee is saying that it's up to the market. Mr Brownlee is not allowing the market to function because he is not allowing sufficient supply of land out on the fringes of Christchurch.
Mr Pavlich says the most important thing right now is to open up the land supply on the fringes of Christchurch to get land values to their true market levels. The sections should cost roughly $50,000 each. At the moment, they are more than $200,000. Since September 2010, he says we should have seen 5,000 houses built already, but the government failed to act, and now it's reached crisis point.
All we're asking them to do is not to do anything, just allow us to get on to do it, and to change the regulatory environment to allow these sections to be developed at these prices.
He believes a one city, many communities model should be adopted in Christchurch, where people and their local communities are in control, with the central office being simply the servant of servants. He claims Christchurch's property problems began when the council amalgamated in 1989.
We were really on our knees prior to the earthquakes, and if you like, the problems have just been exacerbated with it.
Indeed. After the break, more on the property crisis.